Hey all, J-Town here. Today I'm doing a build guide and showcase on my favorite epic hero in the game, Holder. Maybe even my favorite hero overall in the game. Even though he is an epic, he should have been a legendary. I'm going to show you how to get him to do some major work for you and why you might have built yours wrong. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so for more upcoming Infinite Magic Raid content. Let's get into it. Alright, so we all can see the Holder just looks absolutely badass. Just blades for days, yeah, he's just going to spin around and cut you off at the waist. But let's look at his kit just to why he is so good. Alright, his A1, 2 stages of 60% attack. Okay, yeah, it's a small multiplier, but it's 2 times, and it's a chance to inflict bleed, but a low percent chance. Okay, it goes up to 100% attack damage. Not bad. Basic A1 double hitter with a chance to bleed. Okay. Now his A2, Deathstorm. 2 stages of 50% attack damage to all the enemies and a 20% chance to inflict a layer of bleed for 2 rounds. So he gets a chance to put a 2-round bleed. He's got another 2-hitter of 50% each, but to every enemy. It goes up to 80% for a total of 160, and then the skill cooldown comes down to a 3-turn cooldown. That's pretty good. That's a lot in a small package, right? He's going to do a spin, hit everything twice for 80 damage each time, and then has a chance to put a bleed on all of them for 2 turns. Now his passive, right? His passive is where things start to get a little bit nutty. He deals 24% more direct damage to targets under bleed status. Now, it's important to note it says direct damage. That means physical impact like a punch to the face as opposed to a slow bleed out. So, what that's telling you is that he's going to do damage to things that are bleeding, but not via the bleeding. It's not the bleeding that'll do the damage, and that is the key to understanding how Holder works. Now, for the big boy. Holder increases himself 20% attack for 2 rounds while granting himself counterattack for 3 rounds and gaining 1 more action. That's insane. Once you skill this up and it's down to 4-turn cooldown, he's basically going to have counterattack 75% of the damn time. And if you get him to go super fast and he outpaces the boss he's fighting against, it's going to be like he never loses counterattack. It's absolutely nutty, right? Now, this is just 20% increased attack on himself. That comes into play if you look into his exclusive weapons. It gets even better. Let's go take a look at that, right? We awaken this guy because we want to have all these cool stuff. I recommend A5ing somebody as soon as you can. Holder is one of the best choices in the game for that. So, as you know, the exclusive weapons, you need another dupe of that hero to 5 stars to then feed into them to get these different perks, right? All the way 1 through 5. So the first one you get is you get an advanced leech rate of 30% when he attacks an enemy under bleed. Okay, he's already doing 24% extra damage to an enemy under bleed, and not because they're bleeding. Just because they are bleeding, he does all this other crap. Right? Now, at the next level, if he attacks a target under bleed status, direct damage by Hidden Shadow is increased by 5% for every layer of bleed. So he's already doing 24% more damage, and then that ability that does more damage now does even more damage. Alright, now the duration of counterattack inflicted by his arrogant, right, is extended by an entire round. This is nuts. And if he is in attack up status, his attack up doubles. This guy is just double dipping on all the bonuses for days. And then at 4 and 5, obviously the speed increases because speed is king in this game. Don't let anybody tell you any different. It seems like you could skip 4 and 5. Please don't. 40 speed is huge. And at every level of the exclusive weapon, you're going to get bonus stats. So at max, these give you 30% just flat bonus percentage stats onto your character. It's absolutely bonkers. So this dude has a kit that is amazing, all triggered because he puts bleed on things and then starts doing extra things because of the bleed. But it's crucial to remember the bleeding is not what's doing the damage. So you say, how do I gear him? Well, let's take a look. I have got the man in, importantly, the Fearless set, right? Because crit chance is the next best thing after speed. Leech is my next favorite thing after that because that gives him their health back. And he already has 30% leech, right? If he's attacking something bleeding, Now he's got 10% more, 40% leech. Mastery of 20% is just a bonus. I would have taken this set even if it just had the crit and the leech. But that mastery just makes the bleed do a little bit more damage. That's just a little bit icing on the cake. We're not even really concerned with that. And then we've got him in a wild set to get attack percent plus 8 and another 15% crit, right? The key for him is to have 2 sets that give you 15% crit. So if you've got enough to do the double set of 2-piece Fearless, or a little bit lesser, the double 2-piece wild set, go for that or mix and match. But you really want to have that 30% flat off coming off those stats right there. And any substats of speed you can get are huge, right? See, I've got speed gear throughout this gear. I've got crit damage. If you have to get defense, get percentages, right? Just for a little bit more survivability. Attack and percentages. Flat HP is crap. Mastery, we don't really care about. It's okay that it's there, helps the bleed a little bit, but we're not worried about the bleed, except for that it exists, right? We only care that it exists on the enemy. We have this piece simply because of all the crit rate it has, and its buffs are largely percentages. If you can get substats of speed and effect hit and crit rate on here, go for that. Mirror of Origins, we took this one because it has effect hit, because we want to make sure the bleed lands. These subs on it are pretty shit, but we wanted that effect hit right there. And then our Eye of Perception, we took this one because it's a speed main stat, and it's got 5% effect hit, some crit damage, and attack. The effect res is just defensive. He's going to be offensive, right? He's so awesome because his offense, he steals health as fast as he attacks, so that's okay to have, but we're really looking to get everything else as high as we can. A lot of effect hit, a lot of speed, a lot of crit chance, right? You want him fast, critty, and leechy. Those are the qualifications that make Holder so great. And then you want enough effect hit so that he has the ability to land those bleeds. Now, another counterpart to that is you could put another hero with him that helps keep the bleeds on something to make sure that his damage stays at tip-top performance. That is an option that you could use. But bleed itself, the damage is very, very subpar. Now, let's go and take a look at his emblems, right? His talents, if you will. So you're definitely going to go attack and support because he's not defensive, right? You're always going to take crit rate. No matter who you build, if they have the attack tree, you're going to take crit rate. You're never going to take the flat attack over here. And then you're going to take the shield slam because he does more damage to shielded enemies. And then I took the damage dealt and damage taken to 6% because it's just going to be 6% all the time. Whereas this, he is going to not be at full health a lot because he's probably going to be your last surviving hero. And while he will be healing himself and keeping himself alive, it will not usually be all the way to full health. So this at least gets him that. And because he's so leech based, he's going to heal a lot of this back. So that's the way I've gone with it. You definitely want to take this because he's going to kill a lot of enemies, usually in early rounds, with his spin. And then in the next round, he'll just come in right off the bat, have a big bunch of extra damage. You're also going to take the Last Stand because as his fellows die, he'll start to do more damage. And I've had a lot of fights where he's the last thing alive and his damage goes up, and that allows him to just take a boss and make him look stupid. Strength buildup. When there's no valid debuff, damage dealt plus 6%. All right, so when he's not able to have the bleed up on the enemy and they have no other debuffs on him, he's going to get bonus damage, which makes up for when that bleed does not land, and that's crucial. You're also going to take Victory Rush. So if target's under control status, they take 9% more. So if you've got, like I have Zyra, right? She's my support. When she lands some of those attacks that deliver all those control debuffs, his damage is increased even more, and that's separate from the bleed. All right, so we're not going to take this, right, because this is based on if you get debuffs. We don't really care about that one. We're going to go with Brave Enemies. When you're attacking targets with more than 70% HP, you get 6%. That allows your first hits to really pack a wallop, and it's also great for the guild boss. And on the same token, we're going to take Weak Point to increase your damage by 6% when you're attacking a target whose HP is below 50%. So then he's got a better chance of finishing them off. And then for your final tree, you're going to take Crack Damage 24% crit damage is monstrous, right? So just take a look at that, screenshot it. That is your optimal build on the attack tree for Holder. Now to support, always going to take this one. Effect hit 6%. That just allows him to hit that bleed a little more often. We're going to take Meditation. That's going to just be a little bit more effect hit rate and some resistance to effects in the first 2 rounds of 6%. That just helps those earlier waves. It doesn't do you any good in the 3rd wave because it wears off, but it's just a nice buff to get you through, and it's better than the other 2. We're going to take Hard Survival so that when received damage, for every layer of dot that the damage source has, the damage received is less, right? And since he's putting bleed on his targets, that is a layer of dot debuff that they have, so the damage he's getting from them is 1.5% less. It's small, but it helps. That effect can be stacked up to 6 times. So 6 times 1.5, that's 9%. So just by him keeping that dot debuff up on the enemy, he can take 9% less damage. So when he's going toe-to-toe with somebody, chances are Holder's going to win unless you just outpower him by a mile. And then we're going to take More is Better. There's a 30% chance to increase duration by 1 round when an attribute debuff is added, right? So whenever he lands a bleed, you have extra chances to extend this out by an extra round. Now, I've seen it happen. Now, there's a lot of translation things in the game with debuffs and things like that, so I would not be surprised if at one point they do change this to make sure it's only control effects, or if it's specifically things like speed or defense down. But I have seen where he spins and then they'll get multiple stacks onto them of bleed, so we'll have to see. The other 2 options here are just not that great, right? We don't really care about those 2 things. And then the bottom layer, you can only have 1. If you didn't notice at the top of your talent trees, these are how many in the entire tier you can have. So the tier 5, between all 3 trees, you can have 3 total. But in tier 6, you can only have 1. Now there's a really nice speed buff here, but that pales in comparison to 24% more crit damage if you have a lot of good speed gear rolls. So that is how you build your Holder. You need to keep bleed on your enemies for maximum effect, but you're not doing damage because of the bleed, so don't put a mastery set on. The only reason my gear has mastery is because that sweet little set, the Fearless set, comes with crit rate and leech, which is all I cared about. The mastery is just a nice bonus. Now let's take a look at what he can do. There you have it, folks. I don't know what else needs to be said. The man damn near soloed the level 19 dungeon boss. So, you decide. But for me, Holder all the way. Alright, if you haven't liked, subscribe, please do so. I'm J-Town, and I will see you in game.